We're pretty new here, so I don't think Ted knew what he was getting into when he asked me to speak. What? Oh, sorry. I'm Sammy Maples. My wife, Jennifer Maples, over here, said if you're speaking, there's no way I'm getting up and speaking before or after you. And then the story for all ages about the girl that tripped on stage and fell, and she's like looked over at me and she goes, "Yeah, that's why we're not doing that." We did have my oldest son, Dallas. Stand up. Is 8. And our youngest, Wyatt, is 5. You all probably have seen them perform their own little renditions of the songs without words, but somehow Wyatt's able to completely hit the notes and the rhythm and everything without even knowing the song or having any words to it. So we're like, this is pretty neat. So they said, hey, since you all are new, we're new members. I grew up in North Knoxville, Inskip area. So I'm a lifer here. We've traveled some, lived other places. Jennifer's from Middle Tennessee area. But I've been here through the good and the bad in this pretty little town. But never came here because we didn't get out much. And nobody told me about it. I didn't know anything about it. And so now that we've found it, we're very grateful to have it. We're grateful to have a place where we know our kids can come spend time with other people and not hear the N-word. We're grateful for this place because we know our kids can come here and spend time with people and other kids and not hear homophobic slurs or be told that certain people are going to spend a lifetime of eternal damnation because of who they love. We're grateful that we have a safe place for our kids to come and be part of a community. And that's what, when I was single, I went to a lot of churches. I had a church that I tried to go to for quite some time, and then I went to a lot of other churches because having my political and religious beliefs and no filter from my brain to my mouth severely limited the dating pool in this area. But I thought, man, Sunday mornings, pretty captive audience. You could, a lot of young women, and they have singles groups and stuff, so that's narrowing it down for me. And I'm not going to have to work so hard because I work a lot and coach and do all these things, spend time with my family and fish and all these things. And then I started realizing I wasn't really listening to a lot of it because I already had my own views. And I thought, this isn't really what I want to hear. And so when I talk about religion, I brought this up after the 75th anniversary thing the other day. I'm not talking about your religion. I'm talking about the people that practice it or don't practice it. But just the behaviors and the hypocrisy and things, it was just too much. And I actually read the Bible a couple of times, so I was already two reads ahead of most people sitting in those pews. And so when we had kids, and they're getting older now, and we're settled back here, it's like, well, we want our kids to be part of a community and have that, ability to know the elders in the community and be involved with things. My Marco Rubio moment there. Because usually I'm speaking with slides about pharmacology and medicines and things, and I'm not allowed to go off script. So I'm a little nervous. But I was like, well, I guess we could try and find a church to go to. Plus, I think as Ted said, or a couple of other people have actually said, if I'd have just known I could come to church somewhere, so that when I started a new job or went anywhere new or met new family, the first question that I always got was, hey, where do you go to church? I could say, well, I go to church over on Kingston Pike in Sequoia Hills. Yeah. I might drive a 78 Datsun, but I go to church over on Kingston Pike over in Sequoia Hills, new church over there. But I didn't know. And it's funny because the first time we were in here, we came back in 2019, in the fall of 2019, and started coming, and then COVID hit, so we did online, and with our 8, then whatever, 3 and 6, and then 4 and 7, and now 5 and 8-year-olds, we didn't always hear everything, but I kept hearing this name, Wade Till. And even though I look, 31, 32, I'm actually old, 51. You can agree. And I thought, the Wade Till that was the Knoxville Democratic Party chairman, the one that would get up and speak over at the AFL-CIO building for the labor meetings, the one that ran the ward meetings and all the political things, that came up to me one day, and I said, Mr. Till, I think I'd like to get in politics and run for office someday. And he said, well, do you know Abraham Lincoln? I said, well, of course, sure I do. He said, well, can you grow a beard like that? I said, no, probably not. He said, well, good luck. And he said, you're the one that worked the booth over at the fair that they called the city on us because we had a 13-year-old kid working alone at the party booth. And I said, yes, sir, that was me. I said I was 20 years old. And he said, yeah. Maybe you could work doing something else to help. But so I thought, all that interaction with Wade Till, never once did he mention TVUUC. I wish he had. And it's just the comparison of everybody else. I know exactly where everybody else I know goes to church and everything they do, but you never hear about this place. And I understand why. I worked here. I went to school here. I never told anybody anything about who I voted for or what my political leanings were, because I would lose my job sometimes, or I would be shunned or ostracized. So tell them you went to this church, and everybody uses the famous Kaz Walker quote, which is funny because I grew up over in Happy Holler on Anderson, 5th house on the right. And the Kaz Walker store had a billboard up that said he had the biggest balls in town. And it was the snow by him skiing down with the meatballs or whatever they were on the sign. And I thought, I don't think he had much room to criticize what we were talking about over here. So I go way back, but I'm already off script. And I know why the minister sits back here behind the podium so he can grab me when it's time. Growing up here, there wasn't much exposure to anything other than, church, liquor store, pawn shop, church, liquor store, pawn shop, church, pawn shop. So that's kind of how, and it was pretty much everywhere we went in the South or our families lived or anything. So in the mornings, my mom went to work really early. She ran a school cafeteria and would go in and at 4:30 in the morning and cook breakfast every morning. So my dad was responsible for helping us get ready and everything. And he would turn the radio on every morning to 104 WIMZ. I don't know if anybody here remembers that. It was a rock station, even though my parents went into a social coma in 1972, so I guess that's why they listened to it. But I would hear this guy talking, and he would give his opinion on things that were happening here, locally, in the country, around the world. And I would think, man, this guy gets me. This is my guy. I love listening to him every morning. And then my brother and I would ask the bus driver to put it on that channel in the bus when we rode the bus, and then when he was able to drive, we listened to it going to work. And I always there was something about it when I heard this voice. And at the end, he would always say, "I'm called an idol." And so that was my guy. That was my man. And I'd see him at the different things around town. And I thought, man, there's one person in this town that I got. He's on the radio. Well, now on the radio, it's not Calvin Idol that my kids are going to be exposed to. It's not, Paul Harvey in the afternoon. It's a lot of other stuff. So we need this place for our kids to be able to come and not have to have all of that bombarding them on TV and on radio and in the classroom and in the lunchroom and everywhere they go. Our kids apparently aren't going to be athletic. They don't like sports. That's an X on my list because I did and I still do. But the other day coming home, my son said, "Who are we voting for?" And I said, "Well, okay. Oh God, what has he heard in the lunchroom? Okay, what have I got to correct? What have we got to reprogram?" So he started asking me questions about things, and then he said, "Well, why do we go to church where we go to church?" I said, "Oh, what has he heard in the lunchroom? Okay, let's see what we got to do." I explained how we go to church and things. And then Dallas isn't a talker. And he just kept talking and asking questions about politics and religion and things. And I thought, oh, thank you. I got this. I got politics with my son. I at least got that connection. I got something. Might not be soccer, might not be football, college football, might not be other sports, but we got politics. And man, that's enough. So, I'm happy for that. But I also need him to be in a place to where he's welcome. And if he doesn't love the people that other people think he should love, or if he looks different, or all the other people are that way, it's okay. And we're very grateful for this to be here. And when we come to the Christmas Eve service, and the minister gets up, and when he's done, I'm sitting over there going, "Oh man, I'm gonna get me a Gloria Johnson sign and put it in the yard. I'm gonna write a letter," and then it's like, this is where we belong. This is where we belong. So my kid's telling me to shut up, and so is the guy back here. So we are grateful and thankful, and we hope to get to be invited back after this.
You can remain seated for our next hymn, which is hymn 112 in the great hymnal, "Do You Hear?"